Imagine a busy shoe store where the manager tells you 40 out of every 100 customers who walk and end up buying a pair of shoes. Today, 200 customers visited the store. How many of them do you think actually bought shoes? The word percent simply means out of 100, so 40% buying shoes just means 40 out of every 100 people. So a percentage is really just a ratio, comparing some parts to a fixed total of 100 equal parts. To find 40% of 200 customers, let's first find out what just 1% of those customers is worth. Splitting 200 customers into 100 equal shares gives 2 customers in every single share. Since 40% means 40 of those shares, we multiply 2 customers by 40. So 80 of the 200 customers bought shoes today, and we found that using nothing but plain division and multiplication. Now imagine a school with 250 students and 75 of them play cricket. What percent of the students play cricket? Again, let's find what 1% of the school is worth by splitting 250 students into 100 equal shares. Now we ask how many of those 2.5 student shares fit into the 75 who play cricket, so we divide. That means 30% of the students play cricket, found again just by splitting into 100 shares and comparing. Let's look at a shop where a jacket's price goes up from 400 rupees to 460 rupees. What percent did the price increase by? First, find the actual increase in rupees, which is 460 minus 400. Next, find what 1% of the original 400 rupees is worth by splitting it into 100 equal shares. Then see how many of those 4 rupee shares fit into the 60 rupee increase, so divide 60 by 4. The price went up by 15%, worked out with nothing more than subtraction and 2 simple divisions. A price drop works exactly the same way. Find the amount it dropped by, find the value of 1% of the original price, then divide to see how many percent that drop equals. Now here's a trickier case. A television priced at 1,000 rupees gets 2 discounts in a row, first 10%, then 20%. Many people guess the 2 discounts just add up to 30% off, but let's actually work through the real numbers. First, 1% of 1,000 rupees is 1,000 divided by 100, which is 10 rupees. 10% off means 10 of those 10 rupee shares, so the first discount is 100 rupees, bringing the price down to 900 rupees. Now the second discount of 20% is taken on the new price of 900 rupees, not on the original 1,000 rupees. 1% of 900 rupees is 9 rupees, so 20% is 20 of those 9 rupee shares, which comes to 180 rupees. Subtracting that 180 rupees from 900 rupees leaves a final price of 720 rupees. So the price actually dropped from 1,000 rupees to 720 rupees, a fall of 280 rupees. 280 rupees out of the original 1,000 rupees works out to 28%, not the 30% we might have guessed. The 2 discounts don't simply add up, because the second one acts on a smaller, already reduced price. So every percentage question we've seen comes down to the same 2 moves. Find out what 1% of the total is worth, then multiply or divide to answer the real question. Whether it's customers buying shoes, students playing cricket, or prices rising and falling, splitting into 100 equal shares and scaling up or down answers it every time. A school has 300 students. 60% of them bring lunch from home. How many students bring lunch from home? This is just like the shoe store question. We need 60% of a total. So first we split the 300 students into 100 equal shares and find what 1 share is worth. 300 students divided into 100 equal shares gives 3 students per share. We want 60 of these shares, so we multiply 3 by 60 to get 180 students. In a bag of 150 marbles, 30 are red. What percent of the marbles are red? This is the reverse question. Like the cricket scenario, we're given a count and need to find what percent it is. So we find the value of 1% of the total first, then divide our count by that. 150 marbles split into 100 equal shares gives 1.5 marbles per share. Now we divide the 30 red marbles by 1.5 to see how many 1% shares they make up. So the red marbles make up 20 of those 100 shares, which means 20% of the marbles are red. A water tank holds 250 liters. If 25% of the water leaks out, how many liters are left in the tank? First, we find how much water 25% actually is, using the same 1% share trick. Then we subtract that leaked amount from the full tank. 250 liters split into 100 equal shares gives 2.5 liters per share. 25 of these shares is 2.5 multiplied by 25, which comes to 62.5 liters leaked. Now we subtract that leaked amount from the full 250 liters, leaving 187.5 liters in the tank. Last month, a mobile phone cost 12,000 rupees. This month, the price has increased to 13,800 rupees. What is the percentage increase in price? Just like the price rise scenario, we first find the actual rupee change, then find what 1% of the original price is worth, and divide the change by that share. The actual increase in rupees is 13,800 minus 12,000, which is 1,800 rupees. Now, 1% of the original 12,000 rupees is 12,000 divided by 100, which is 120 rupees. Dividing the actual increase of 1,800 rupees by 120 rupees tells us how many 1% shares fit into it, which is 15. So the price has increased by 15%. A shopkeeper reduces the price of a jacket from 2,000 rupees to 1,700 rupees. What is the percentage decrease in price? Same idea as the price rise scenario, but now the price is falling. Find the actual rupee drop, then see how many 1% shares of the original price that drop equals. The actual drop in rupees is 2,000 minus 1,700, which is 300 rupees. 1% of the original 2,000 rupees is 2,000 divided by 100, which is 20 rupees. Dividing the 300 rupee drop by 20 rupees gives us 15. So the jacket's price has decreased by 15%. A laptop is priced at 40,000 rupees. During a sale, the shop first gives a 10% discount and then an additional 5% discount on the reduced price. What is the final price of the laptop? This is exactly like the television scenario. With two successive discounts, we cannot add 10 and 5 together. We must apply one discount fully first, get the new real price, and then find the second discount on that new price. First, 1% of 40,000 rupees is 40,000 divided by 100, which is 400 rupees. 10% then is 10 of these shares, which is 400 multiplied by 10, giving 4,000 rupees as the first discount. Subtracting this discount from 40,000 rupees gives us a new price of 36,000 rupees. Now for the second discount, we must find 1% of this new price of 36,000 rupees, which is 36,000 divided by 100, giving 360 rupees. 5% of the new price is 5 of these shares, which is 360 multiplied by 5, giving 1,800 rupees as the second discount. Subtracting this from 36,000 rupees gives us the final price of 34,200 rupees. In an election, there were 800 total votes. The winning candidate received 65% of the votes. How many votes did the winning candidate get, and how many votes did the other candidates get combined? This has two parts, but both use the same 1% share idea. Once we know what 1% of the votes is worth, we can get the winner's share, and whatever remains out of the 100 shares belongs to the rest. 800 votes split into 100 equal shares gives 8 votes per share. The winner's 65 shares are 8 multiplied by 65, which gives 520 votes. The remaining shares for the other candidates are 100 minus 65, which is 35 shares. 35 of these shares are 8 multiplied by 35, which gives 280 votes for the other candidates combined. A factory produced 500 toys last week. This week, production increased to 620 toys. What is the percentage increase in production? Just like the price rise scenario, we start by finding the actual increase in the count of toys, then find the value of 1% of the original count and divide. The actual increase is 620 minus 500, which is 120 toys. 1% of the original 500 toys is 500 divided by 100, which is 5 toys. Dividing the increase of 120 toys by 5 toys gives us 24. So production has increased by 24%. A city's population grew by 20% in 1 year and then grew by another 20% the next year. If the population was 50,000 at the start, what was the population after these 2 years of growth? This is another successive change situation like the 2-discount television scenario. Except both changes are increases this time, we apply the first 20% growth fully, get the new population, then apply the second 20% growth on that new number, not on the original. 1% of 50,000 is 50,000 divided by 100, which is 500. 20% growth is 20 of these shares, 500 multiplied by 20, which is 10,000 people added. Adding this to 50,000 gives a new population of 60,000 after the first year. Now for the second year's growth, 1% of this new population of 60,000 is 60,000 divided by 100, which is 600. 20% of the new population is 600 multiplied by 20, which is 12,000 people added. Adding this to 60,000 gives a final population of 72,000 after both years of growth. In a class, 45 out of 180 students scored above 90 marks in an exam. What percent of the class scored above 90 marks? Like the cricket scenario, we're given a count out of a total and need to find what percent it represents. So we find the value of 1% of the total first and then divide our count by it. 180 students split into 100 equal shares gives 1.8 students per share. Now we divide the 45 students who scored above 90 by 1.8 to see how many 1% shares they make up. So those 45 students make up 25% of the class. A store bought a bicycle for 4,000 rupees and wants to sell it at a price that is 15% more than the buying price. At what price should the bicycle be sold? This is just like finding a percentage of a quantity, and then adding it on we find what 1% of 4,000 rupees is worth, scale it up to 15%, and add that on top of the original price. 1% of 4,000 rupees is 4,000 divided by 100, which is 40 rupees. 15% is 15 of these shares, 40 multiplied by 15, which is 600 rupees. Adding this 600 rupees to the original 4,000 rupees gives a selling price of 4,600 rupees.